We will switch to English now for the Q&As. So of course, everyone understands, or anyone can speak in the language they prefer, and we try to make sense of it. First of all, tell us about how you decided to make this film about these two people and about the history of the country that they come from.
I was when I was in Belarus the first time and the only time I was there, I was very touched because it reminded me a lot of my own childhood in dictatorships, because I was raised partly in communist Poland and then in Gaddafi Libya, and this was a very touching experience for me. And then when I met Andrei, I thought that he's the best hero for that film, because he reminded me of somebody like Humphrey Bogart. Not always in best mood, but a very authentic person, authentic protagonist.
Because I was smoking at it.
So was that how he persuaded you to join the project, making you compliments about Humphrey Bogart? Or why did you say yes, Andrei and Irina, of course?
No, it was not compliments about Humphrey Bogart, it was Belarus, because I was reluctant, and he had a lot of ideas in his head, different scenarios. And in the beginning, when we started to discuss the future movie or whatever, we didn't have any idea of how to really proceed with the story. I wanted the story to be about Belarus. He wanted the story to be about Belarus through me, so I had to I had to surrender.
How much did you know in advance that it would be so much about your family, about your son? Was that clear in the beginning that you would allow a documentary film crew to tell a story that is so close to your family and to your son, for example?
It was not easy, yeah. And Pawel can confirm that we had our fights. Well, a lot of, I think that he had footage enough to really have a very different movie about my family, our family. But finally, again, since we are what we are, I mean, Irina is a famous journalist working for the last democratic paper that was still functioning in Moscow when the Pawel started to film, and which is now out of Russia. And Danka, our son, had a very harsh encounter with the reality from the very beginning. That is why his attitude towards this regime is also clear. So let's say we do have a message, and I think that we will stay with this message.
Do you think the world has finally understood how dangerous Lukashenko is? Has that changed in the last 2 or 3 years, especially since Russia invaded Ukraine, since we, look with a lot more attention, into that part of the world? Do you think we understand it a bit better now?
No. Why I say no? Because the world started to understand. But do you, for example, if I ask a very simple question for us, for Belarusians, you will not be able to answer it. How many political prisoners we have? We have about 6,000 to 7,000 political prisoners today. And one of them just died today in prison. He was killed because he had very serious heart problems. And despite that, he was sentenced to 1 year in colony. And those who sentenced him, they knew very well that they will kill him, and he was killed. And there are hundreds of stories like that. And that is why I say no, because somehow, and we were talking about this with the team when we met, the West is still not able to tackle several problems. There is a war in Ukraine, and that's it. And that's it, because everybody is forgetting about Maduro, everybody is forgetting about Castro regime, forgetting about Iran, which is still protesting, people are being killed. It is, they concentrate and not always come with a solution, with a real solution, with the problem they concentrate on. And Belarus, unfortunately, again, is not on the forefront. But I'm very happy, not that the world started to realize what Lukashenko is, but with what the world saw in 2020. Our revolution, our flags, our spirit of Belarusians, and I think it will inevitably we will win.
Pawel, what is your hope in being a documentary filmmaker and telling these stories and showing them to international audiences? What is your hope documentary films can actually do and help in these important questions and telling these stories and making basically a change?
I will give the microphone to our Swiss producer, because he has a good answer for that.
Well, what can films do to the world? They can show something. They can, when we started working on this project in 2014, I think it was, Belarus was like a black spot on the map because nobody knew much, even where it is, even though it's part of Europe. Even it's not even outside of Europe, and it was very hard to finance this film. Very, very hard. It was very hard to find money in Germany. It took a very long time to get the budget together, just because it was a subject that no one was interested in. And then it takes a guy like Pawel, who just wants to make this movie, and maybe some producers who think, yes, we want to fight for this. And yeah, it's part of what we can do. Shed some light on people like Andrei and Irina who fight for something, and who are in that sense a role model, because many people, when you see this also in the Ukraine war, there are people who say we should stop the war, we should not fight, give the land to the Russians just to save some lives, and there are other people who say no, we have to stand up and fight for things. And I think what we can do as filmmakers is try to bring these stories to the people a little bit, and create some understanding for the people who invest their lives in things like that, and give hope to other people to also invest their energy into things like that.
Of course, we want to hear something about the music, David, if that is okay for you. I'm moved here with the microphone. Because of all the layers, because of all the archive material, the very striking use of music. Du hast wahnsinnig gemischt in deinem Einsatz von Musik. Wir haben den Rockteil, wir haben das ganz Fragile. Kannst du uns ein bisschen was dazu erzählen? Can you tell us a bit about what inspired you and your concept of the musical arrangement for the film?
Well, first of all, it was there was the idea from Pawel first. He came to me with the idea of the rock part of the movie. I didn't invent that myself, so that was an easy start for me. Then I had to kneel into it. It's my first movie actually. I did so. I did some music before, but I never done a movie, so I didn't know how to do that. Not even technically how to put music underneath a movie. So I had to learn a lot, and I had to learn to work with a story of a movie, with pictures, with people involved in music in a movie, and with Andrei. I knew Andrei before I met him. I knew Irina before I met her. So because I worked so much in that movie, so that was kind of hard to put that together. And I didn't do this myself. Of course, I did it with Pawel. I did it with Valentin. I did it with Thomas. I did it with the whole team, actually. So I wasn't alone in this.
So very well done, and congratulations for winning that prize here bei uns beim DOK.fest.
Thank you.
And I would love to leave the last words for tonight on this stage to you both, Irina and Andrei. What do you wish this audience and all the audiences to come take away from this film? What kind of hope shall we take away? What do you wish this film can actually do?
First of all, I would like to thank all of you for your attention to our problems, for your kindness, for your support. I know that Belarus seems so far from Germany, but in reality is too close. It's absolutely exact words, black spot on the map, black spot. And my desperately hope is to make the spot white, not even white, colored, like Europe, like all our great world. And thanks a lot.
Well, I just want to say that you are privileged to live in a free world. And you have human rights, you have very good protection for your human rights. Please believe me that Belarusians want also to be as privileged as you are. And once I was giving a freedom lecture in Netherlands, and I dared to continue the thought of the great thought of Václav Havel, actually, who wrote a letter of support for me in prison, and miraculously I did receive this letter through all censorship and everything. So he has the famous essay which is called "Power of the Powerless." But the complete picture will be when the power of the powerless is joined by the power of those who care. So my message is do have some care for Belarus and for other countries that live under dictatorships and very hard situations. Thank you.
Wir möchten uns ganz herzlich bedanken, natürlich bei Irina Chalib, bei Andrei Sanikov, bei Pawel Siczek, bei unserem Preisträger, bei David Langhard, der Produzent Valentin Greuth, das ganze Team von This Kind of Hope. Vielen herzlichen Dank natürlich an Sie, dass Sie hier sind. Und wenn Sie mögen, können Sie noch einmal mit einem Applaus verabschieden. Und wir freuen uns darauf, mit Ihnen draußen anzustoßen. Thank you so much.